Okay, so I'm sorry about that. We dropped here. I'm not really sure what happened. Hopefully we got it back. But I'm going to do a plate up here of the chicken where we left off before. Okay, we're going to do a little bit of our grain pilaf here. A multi-grain pilaf. I'm not sure if you caught that. I heard that we were frozen for quite some time. So let me just catch you back up here real quick. We're doing a couple different preparations with roast chicken. I fabricated the chicken to include the chicken breasts, the leg and thigh portions, okay? And we're plating right now our chicken breast portion as our main entree. And then we're gonna make one or two other items for you as well. So we have our vegetables here. And this is a medley of asparagus, zucchini, some carrots, yellow squash, okay? We'll do a simple one, 2, 3 kind of plate up here for you. And I welcome those of you that stayed on that. Thank you. Appreciate that. And let's go ahead and portion our chicken, and then we're going to put some sauce over the top of the chicken. Okay, that pan sauce that we made from the chicken juices. And we're going to cut the breast, instead of slicing it, we're going to actually cut it in its whole form here and really give a beautiful portion of that chicken breast on the plate here. And again, we said this was going to be 4 portions, so you can see I have still 1.5 breasts left over for that. So let's go ahead and put our sauce over there now. Okay. Put a little bit of heat on the sauce here. Okay. All right. Add just a touch of that stock here just to thin it out, because while we were trying to get our live stream back, we lost a little bit of the thickness here. So cut that back. Bring it back up to 10. I'm going to go ahead and strain that chicken sauce there just to make sure we've got all of the sediment out. And again, we want to get all of that, okay, from our pan. Okay. And finally, we're going to go ahead and put that sauce right over the top of the chicken. Let it cool down. Okay. And we have our first dish done for you. And we'll just put a little bit of chive on top of the greens here. Okay. So our first application with the chicken is this beautiful roast chicken breast. Okay. Next, we're going to go ahead and do a biscuit and gravy, right? Now, this time we're going to take some of the chicken meat and we're going to chop it up really fine. We're going to make it almost with consistency of a cooked sausage meat. Okay? So for that, let's go ahead and take our glove. And we're going to go ahead and cut up this chicken leg and thigh portion. Okay, I'm going to save the skin here. Nice and moist here. Make sure we get all the bones and cartilage out of there. Okay, a little bit of skin on there, which is fine. A little bit of fat. And then we'll take our leg portion as well. Make sure there's no bones or bristle. Okay. and we're going to get this started here. Okay, so I'm going to just take our knife here. Again, make sure there's no bones or bristle. I feel a little bit of bone here. Take that, put that bone in with our stock. And we're chopping our chicken. Again, we want to give this, we're calling it a chicken sausage gravy, right? But really, we're not making a sausage. But at the end of the day, if I took sausage meat and I cooked it in the pan in some fat and I added a bechamel sauce to it, we'd be at the same place, right? We'd have cooked morsels of pork or chicken in there, right? The chicken sausage. This case here, we're using a roasted chicken. Okay. I'm going to take a little bit of butter in my pan, and we're going to go ahead and put our chicken in. Okay. So this would be the equivalent, if I were making a sausage gravy, of taking the sausage meat, right, and cooking it in some fat before adding the sauce, right? And what we're going to use today is a bechamel, which is our classic, right, sauce that we use for our biscuits and gravy. Right? Let's go ahead and get this going a little bit. I'm going to add a little bit of shallot in with my chicken. I'm just warming that through with some butter. Okay. I'm going to talk for a moment about the chicken. What I did with the chicken, with the bechamel rather, is I made a very thick bechamel sauce, right? I took the bechamel ratio, which is typically 4 ounces of roux, right, or thickener, the roux, of course, being the butter and flour thickener. I take the roux and I do 4 ounces per quart. For this particular one, I actually made a much heavier bechamel because I'm using it for a couple different things, right? So this is actually an 8-to-1. You can see how thick that is. So it's 8 ounces of roux to a quart. Okay, so I'm putting that in. And I'm going to add some half and half to this, right, to thin out my bechamel and get a little bit of creaminess into the sauce, right? So half and half, bechamel. And let's go ahead and bring that up to temperature. Now, I'm calling it a chicken sausage, right? Gravy, right? And really, as I mentioned, we're not making a chicken sausage per se, but again, we're going to be winding up in the same place. But I want to get the profile of flavor to be similar to what I would have in a sausage. So to do that, of course, we're going to add some seasoning, right? Some fresh salt, some fresh pepper, and some good quality salt. I like my sausage gravy a little peppery. This would be a great item for a brunch per se, yeah? Even if you want to serve a couple of eggs with it, biscuits and gravy. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of chive in, a little bit of parsley. But to get that sausage gravy flavor, I need to get that sage flavor in there, that typical breakfast sausage flavor. So I'm going to go ahead and use a commercial Bell's poultry seasoning. And again, we're not reinventing the wheel. It's a great product. It gives us that turkey stuffing, that breakfast sausage flavor, you know, the quintessential flavor that we get. And here I have my bechamel now melting down in with that half and half. Okay, I'm going to bring that up. Let that come up to a boil. All right, so we get the right thickness that we're looking for. And let's go ahead and do our biscuit plate. Okay.
Genevieve asked if Spot can come in and help.
Spot is available for help, absolutely. Spot went upstairs. He got a little too much chicken skin while we were off camera there for a little bit.
He's on HOD.
So, make some classic biscuits, right? I like doing the round method and I cut them into triangles so there's no waste here. These are super flaky, you can see. If Jay can get in there, you can see the level of flake on those. It's beautiful. Okay. I'm gonna do a nice portion. I'll do 2 for my portion, and we'll save the rest for my camera crew here. Okay. All right, looking good so far. Warming my plate. Let's go ahead and taste this sauce here, this chicken. All the elements are there. Really nice. I taste the sage from the poultry seasoning. It's a welcome surprise. Okay. Let's go ahead and put our biscuits on the plate. Okay. And we'll get our spoon here. Okay. So our second meal is our chicken sausage gravy and biscuits. We're just going to let that kind of mount over the top here. We'll finish it with a little bit of chive. Okay, and we have our second dish. Our homemade biscuits and chicken sausage
Move
gravy.
that one up to the front so we can get a better
We'll move that up to the front. I'm going to move the chicken entree down. Okay. All right, next. Next, we're going to do our chicken croquette. And this is a nice item. Here again, using that bechamel sauce, I'm going to take some of our chicken here. Okay. Make sure you get all those bones out. No gristle. I'll keep my bones going in the stock here. Okay. And I'm going to even take the wing meat here off of the drumette and use that in this preparation. There's plenty of chicken here. Okay, for the meal. Okay, so here's our chicken bones, going back into the stock. We're going to keep that going for another item that we're going to do. Okay. All right, so we're going to go ahead and chop this. Not quite as fine as we did the other, but we're still chopping up our meat here a little bit. Okay.
Thanks for everybody that came back in.
Yes, thank you everybody for coming back in. We're sorry about the delay. I'm not sure what happened. We had a bandwidth issue. We're learning about this as we go here. Okay, so we're going to take our chopped chicken here. Okay, it's a great way to extend chicken pieces that we have. Okay.
Look at chicken, he's coming back.
Some fresh herbs. Spot's back for some more here. He smells the chicken. Some fresh herbs. Chive and parsley. Some seasoning into our chicken here. Salt and pepper. A little bit. Okay. And we're going to put in just a whisper here of the bells. I like that flavor with the chicken. Just a little bit. Just a pinch. Okay. But really the key here for us now was this bechamel that we made, right? Bechamel we make as a sauce, right? I mentioned 4 ounces of roux to a quart gives us a bechamel sauce, and we use that for different saucing techniques. But when we take that roux and we double it, we make 8 ounces of roux to a quart, we get this really thick bechamel. And this is what we want to use for our croquettes, because this is going to serve as our base, okay, for our croquette. I'm going to blend this in with my chicken. Okay. Just like that. Okay. Again, the chicken is fully cooked. That's important. Okay. This actually will take a little more of the bechamel here. This was 1 leg and thigh portion, and I have about a cup, maybe a little bit less, of bechamel sauce here for this. Okay. We're going to go ahead and use our little spatula here to get this off. Okay. So now, if you notice, we have a thick, kind of a paste mixture here of the chicken tightened up with the bechamel. From here, we have a lot of options. We can add different flavors. We can add different seasonings. We can make it spicy. Okay, we're keeping this rather neutral for you. Okay, and we're going to actually pass this product now through our standard breading procedure, right? Flour, egg wash, and breadcrumb.
Dominic has a question. How high is the risk of using cooked force meat in dishes like seasoning drying out?
That's a good question, Dominic, but now we're putting this together in with the bechamel. So actually when we cook this croquette, okay, that bechamel is going to loosen up. It's going to become very creamy and actually very moist. And we'll cut one open so you can see that. Okay? So, breading procedure. We're going to make 2 croquettes here. Okay? We got the flour. Now, the breadcrumb actually, we did here, we had some oregano topping left over. I did a nice cod oregano for dinner the other night. And I said, you know what, that would make a nice coating on a croquette. So why don't we go ahead and do that? So this is actually some of my oregano topping. Fresh breadcrumbs, right? Makes a big difference here. Okay. So we have 1. We'll do 1 more. Maybe we'll serve 2 for the portion. All right. Okay, we'll make it an entree portion. Okay, so we have our croquette forming here. And again, this is bechamel sauce as a base, and I'm able to handle this, right? So this came to me several years ago when I had my restaurant. I wanted to do a crab cake. I didn't want to do a traditional mayonnaise and breadcrumb based crab cake, right? I wanted to do a crab cake that was kind of a signature for me. So I took this bechamel sauce, I made it thick like I did today. I put the lump crab in with the bechamel. I added some Old Bay seasoning and some good spices and such to it. And I got a really delicious crab cake, which had a really creamy texture on the inside, not like the typical crab cakes that we get that are a little bit dry from the breadcrumb that we put in there. Right? Plus, from a dollar standpoint, from a value standpoint, it allowed us to extend the crab meat because the bechamel acted as a filler. So I was able to get several portions of crab cake out of 1 can, right? More than I would have if I didn't use it. So let's go ahead for this dish. We're going to fry up our cakes. We're going to garnish with some vegetable. Okay, I have my fryer on behind. I'm going to round these up a little bit. Our crab cakes. Okay. I'm sorry. Chicken croquettes. I'm thinking about crab cakes. I think I might have to cook some of those things. Okay. Crab cakes go in. And we're going to give those a quick fry. Okay, we're going to cook some veg here. I have a veg medley here that I used on our chicken plate. We'll do the same thing here. I have some zucchini and yellow squash, some glazed carrots. We'll get that in. We'll put some butter in there as well. And let's go ahead and get our plate. Get that warmed up a little bit in the oven. Okay. Go. A little bit of chive in the herbs, a little bit of chive in the veg. Fresh herbs is always good. Okay. We'll put our that mixture back in the fridge. Okay. We want just to go golden brown on the croquettes. Remember, everything's fully cooked in there, right? The meat is fully cooked. The bechamel is ready to go. We don't want to go too far. We want to get good brown color and nothing more. Okay. All right. Terrific. Now, it's not uncommon to serve a sauce with our croquettes, and I think what I'm gonna do today is if I had this delicious fortified stock here, right, I might be inclined to make a velouté with that, right? For our students that are studying culinary in high school, these are the mother sauces that we make, and a lot of times we don't have a context for this. So we make the sauce, it's like, okay, we make the sauce, what do we do with it? Well, here I'm showing you a couple different applications for the bechamel, and we're finally going to show you how to use a velouté, right? So, as a finished sauce. So my veg looks good. Let's go ahead and get our croquettes out. A little bit of paper down here. Okay, these are super delicate now. They're super delicious, right?
Genevieve Hernandez asks, what's the best way to keep chicken from drying out if you're making several chicken dishes for a competition per se?
Plastic wrap is key, and moisture. If you're going to reheat it, add some moisture to restore what was lost, right? But you want to keep everything wrapped and keep the natural moisture in. When things are not wrapped, they lose moisture rapidly, they dry out. Also, don't keep it warm unless you're going to serve it, right? It's always better to retherm it or keep it resting at room temperature, bring it back to temp, and then serve it immediately. Okay? Good question. Okay, so now the nice thing about the croquette is that it's got the protein, the sauce, right? Base with the bechamel, and it's got the breading, which gives you the crust, right? So we're actually not going to serve a starch with this. We're going to serve some fresh veg. Okay, I'm going to show you a slightly different plate up here. Okay. We'll do a center plate rather than what we did on the other dish, which was a typical, garnish, main protein at the 6 o'clock position. This one here will do a wreath of the vegetable. Okay. Like that. So you can see all the cuts. These are cut in a variety of cuts here. We have losange cuts, we have some oblique, I have some rondelle bias, all stuff that culinary students should know, right? Terrific. All right, we have our sauce now. Our finished velouté. Okay. We're going to go ahead and put that right in the center of the plate. And finally, our chicken croquettes, center of that. Okay, let's move this out of the way. Our chicken and sausage gravy and biscuits here. There goes our croquette. Take a look at that. All right, and I promised 3 dishes today, but I actually said I might do a 4th, and because we lost you guys for a little bit, I'm actually going to do a 4th dish here. And it's featuring the chicken that we had left over, right, from the carcass. So I'm going to take a little bit of this chicken out because it's a little bit too much. I can get 2 portions out of this easily. But this is my homage to college students, right? Because listen, I know the college students, right? I know enough to know that college students sustain on what? What do college students eat in their dorms? What is the go-to? It's cheap. What do we eat? Let's see. With this stuff? All right? We got the ramen. Look at this. Okay? All right? The ramen college students sustain on, right? But my high school students watching, getting ready to go to college, get used to this, right? This is what we sustain ourselves on. But the chicken flavor, it's a big NG, right? No good, right? That's got the monosodium glutamate, it's salty. Let's hold off on that. We got a delicious chicken stock that we made from all the chicken bones from the roast chicken, right? So let's go ahead and put that ramen package on the side. Okay, we're gonna take a half portion of our ramen noodles here. We're gonna get those cooked. I promise you this would be 2 portions worth here. Well, maybe not two for everybody. Some people, have a hearty appetite, right? Okay, so let's see what we got here.
Genevieve asked, what is your preferred method of cooking veg for competition dishes?
So I love, for root vegetables, I love the glazing technique. I know Genevieve knows that technique very well. I also like a simple blanch, right? Salted water, and then finishing in butter with some herbs, perhaps some shallot, depending upon the vegetables that we're doing. We want to maintain vibrancy, right? It's not just even in competition, but it's just in general from a good cooking standpoint, right? We want to make sure that we have a really visual plate. Vegetables are cooked, they taste good. That's real important, right? So the ramen is in the stock that we made here. I'm going to assemble my bowl here with the ramen. I have my chicken meat in the bowl. I'm going to throw in a couple of carrots here. All right. I have some scallion here. And we're going to cook these ramen noodles. And while I'm doing that, do we have any questions from anybody? Okay. Well, we actually did promise we would cut one of these croquettes for Dominic. Dominic wanted to see the croquette, right? What's happening in there? Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, we're here. You got the croquette here? Okay. Take a look at how creamy and moist that is inside. Look at that. Okay. The chicken morsels are in there, nice and creamy. Okay, all together really well. Okay.
Genevieve asks, when composing the plate for chicken dishes, what are the things you want to keep in mind?
Good question. So the first thing and most important is we want the protein to be, the integrity of the protein to be maintained. If we decide to roast a chicken breast, it should be moist. Skin should be nice and brown. If we're sautéing, it should have good color. Again, moist inside. Cooking is very important. Doneness is very important. We want it done perfectly to the point of doneness, right? And then from there, you determine what your garnishes are going to be, right? Are we roasting? Are we doing a braise of chicken? Those are going to determine the kinds of accompaniments that we have. But the most important thing is, however we compose the plate, it's important to remember that every single element on that plate is important. Genevieve speaks specifically about competition. There are some dishes where the proteins are really good, the sauce is really good, but you get to the potato, it's not cooked. You get to the veg, it's salty or not seasoned, and that makes the difference between a really great dish, right? A gold medal standard dish, and a dish that becomes a discussion amongst the people that are eating it. I think that's a little salty. Oh, that doesn't taste so good. Or that potato's not cooked. So all the elements of the plate are very important, however you construct it. And you want to keep the food interesting. You want to keep it visually appealing, but we don't want to cook with color, right? That's a mistake, right? So, oh, red's a nice color. Let's take some red pepper and throw it on the plate. It has to make sense with the dish, right? If food's cooked properly, as it's advertised, right? Roasted, sauteed, that says a lot about the food on the plate. It's inviting, right? A beautiful piece of roasted chicken, a beautifully fried croquette. Okay? Good question. So, our final dish, our ramen. The noodles are done. I followed the package ingredients. I must admit, I've never had ramen. I know all the students talk about the ramen. I've never had ramen myself. I've never cooked it from a package like that. But this is my take on a ramen, not using the package flavor, but using the chicken bones and the chicken stock that we made from the roasted chicken. And let's throw a little bit more of the scallion on top of that. Put that in the plate as well. Okay, and some chive. Okay, and that's our ramen. Let's go ahead and put all the dishes up here that we did today with the roasted chicken. Let's see if there are any specific questions that anybody has. See if I can fit everything on here into a shot. I think I can.
Brandon asked the question. He said, "Are you serious, chef? Think about the ramen."
About what? What specifically? I've never had ramen. Is he asking if I'm serious about
I
that?
think so.
I have never had ramen, no. Not from the pack. I've seen it. I've seen students walking back from ShopRite with a plastic shopping bag full of them, right? But I've never had it before. I'm not being snobbish about it. I've just never had it before, right? But I'm always a little concerned about the flavor packet, right? With the stuff that's in the flavor packet. I don't really know what to do with that. I don't even want to open it. I think what I might do is just leave it as a reminder of what good cooking is, right? You actually get a chicken, put it in the oven, roast it, and make some good stuff with it, right? And I still have a lot of chicken left over, right? I had enough to do, 4 plates of this. I could have made easily another 6 croquettes. I would have done 4 plates of that. I had plenty of bechamel and chicken left to make more chicken sausage gravy. That portion's a bit large, but I wanted to showcase the product. And then, of course, the ramen, just with all the meat that came off the bone. So,
Shauna asks, can using fresh cut vegetables or certain spices make those noodles soggy, or is there a way you can prevent that from happening?
yeah, so it's about cooking doneness, right? So all of my vegetables were pre-cooked for the ramen. I wanted to assemble it so that once the noodles are cooked, it's ready to go to the table and eat. Everything's at temperature. The hot stock heated up the chicken that's in there. I had that stock up to a boil, so it's plenty hot enough to heat up the ingredients that I had. And at this point, I think that's ready to eat. It looks pretty good. But as far as spices are concerned, typically the ramen is rather, just a seasoned broth and then ingredients in there. You could put other things in there as well. It's traditional. Ramen is traditionally there's an egg garnish. Sometimes there's pork belly, etc. Different types of ramen in different applications. But for basic ramen, for substance, a good lunch, a good meal, taking some of the chicken off of the bones, adding a little bit of carrot, some scallion, and then those ramen noodles right from the package, and we're good to go. The key with the ramen is the broth, really, and the ramen broth is, that's a very important element of the dish, and it's something that's cared for a great deal. Typically, the ramen broths have pork and stuff like that in them as well. This is straight chicken, but I can smell the aromas. I didn't taste the chicken stock that I put in there, but you can smell the aromas are solid. You know the flavors are going to be there. Good. Any other questions for me?
Rosella asks, what's your favorite quarantine dish so far?
Wow, I'll tell you the truth, Rosie. We've been doing menus each week for 3-4 days at a time. Just trying to try some different things. I don't know that I've had a favorite dish so far. We've done a lot of different ethnic dishes. Um, you know, just kind of learning and tasting some different things, especially for Jake and Frankie, my boys here, to taste and experience some different things, develop a flavor vocabulary. But I don't know. I'd be hard pressed to give a favorite dish. But we're eating some really good food. I can tell you that for sure. We're cooking every day. We were in the beginning of the quarantine doing a lot of desserts, but the wife has cut back on the desserts a little bit. She put the kibosh on that a little bit. But it's still, homemade ice creams and things that, we're trying to teach, trying to teach my boys some different techniques and some different things while we're here together.
Genevieve asks, what are things that you look for when scouting for high school students?
That's a good question. Genevieve, it's what I found when I found you, right? Passion, right? Passion. And mentorability or coachability or teachability, right? Someone that's willing to come in and really say, okay, I want to learn everything I can learn. I'm passionate about it. The kinds of students that come to class, early, right, before the lab's open, or is in the kitchen doing stuff, right? Those are the kinds of students I'm looking for. Students that really want to do this, that are passionate about food, that want to push themselves as far as they can go. Um, I'm 35 years a chef. I'm learning still every day. I'm developing dishes for competitions, for menus for the dining lab restaurant at the college. I'm looking at different ethnic ingredients. I'm learning about different ingredients, different techniques. Um, I'm trying to, so I can bring something new to the table, but also just because I have a hunger for learning. So passion, right, and a hunger for learning, and no boundaries, right? Want to push themselves beyond their perceived boundaries. Great question.
Genevieve also asked, I think it's a similar answer, but for high school students who want to consider competing, what do you look for on the day of tryouts?
I think about the same. I think for me, one would think, oh, they have to have really great skills, and skills are important, no question. But that's what the whole process is for. It's to teach those skills, right? And to get you to that level where you're confident you can actually put yourself out there in front of, esteemed judges from around the country coming to watch you cook. You need to have passion. You need to have coachability. You need to be able to listen. It's funny that Jeremy mentions that. I know some of our people watching know Michael Hernandez, one of our former graduates. Michael came to our first tryout and thought he knew everything, right? And of course, anyone that knows me and my coaching style, we don't take too kindly to that kind of stuff, right? So Michael actually got moved out of the tryout pretty quickly. Michael came back, the following semester and had matured and realized, what was happening because he got a chance to see from afar what was happening with the program and immersed himself into it. He said, basically, show me, teach me, I want to do this. And he went on to win, I don't know, 7, 8 medals during his time at City University of New York at Memorial College, including some gold medals and some best of shows. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for total, I'm ready to learn. All of my faculty are the same. We want to teach. Now, we don't always say we have the best ways of doing everything, right? But we have a system that we follow that's technically based, and we want to teach those skills. The other thing is practice, right? You don't learn something until you practice it, right? You practice it consistently and constantly. You practice it correctly to get better at it. So those are all the things that I look
Shauna asks, what are the best dressings or sauces to use for chicken?
for. Oh wow, so that's a great question, and it really is a broad answer, right? So I would break it down to three different things. I would do your hot sauces that you can serve with chicken, right? Here we did a pan sauce. We have a velouté that we would serve with a croquette or with a poached chicken breast. And then from that, you have a variety of different things. You can do a mushroom sauce here, right? In this. You can do bacon and pearl onions like a red wine sauce. Instead of using the white wine that we use for the chicken, you add a red wine. A lot of variation on the hot side. As far as cold sauces, absolutely, you can use vinaigrettes on hot chicken dishes, right? You want to do an Asian profile vinaigrette with some rice wine vinegar and sesame oil and such. That would be perfect here as well. And then there's a whole nother group of things that you can serve with chicken, different types of relishes and condiments. And really, if you think about it, it's really not that far fetched, right? For example, at Thanksgiving, turkey and cranberry sauce, right? So that idea of a fruit-based relish to serve with the chicken. I would do something like that here. Certainly, we can serve cranberry with this. We can do how about when peaches are in season, we do a peach chutney or mango chutney or mango relish or even a tomato jam would go well with the chicken, right? Something that's cool. So there's three different things that we can do, and it again depends upon what flavor profile you're going for. More contemporary platings and more contemporary dishes will have the hot sauce served with the chicken, but also a condiment alongside of that, right? And again, turkey gravy and cranberry sauce, that kind of concept. Same thing here when we're talking about contemporary applications of cooking to dishes like that. So really, it's wide open.
Curtis Brown asks, what is the best way to cook chicken?
here again, if you're talking about whole chicken, definitely, I love roasting the chicken whole. If you've got chicken pieces, saute, right? Or the poêlée technique, which I show in one of my videos, that's a great technique and one that all of the young culinarians should be practicing. That technique of basting, that's the real spirit of cooking, right? So definitely poêlée, basting, right? If the skin's on the chicken, you definitely want to sear it, roast it. If it's skinless chicken breast, then you have a couple options. You want to flour it and saute it. You want to grill it. Really, chicken is one of the most versatile proteins that there is. So you can really do chicken any way you like. On the leg and thigh meat, I like doing moist applications, braises, things along those lines, where I'm actually making a stew with the chicken, right? So a lot of different things that we can do. I don't have a particular best way. I love chicken every way.
You have a video about that as well.
And I have the poêlée video that's available on how the easiest way to cook, the best way to cook chicken.
Genevieve's asking for a dessert time soon.
Yes, absolutely. We're working on that for sure. We're trying to do some things here. Initially, the idea for the webinars came from the ProStart folks, and we were asking them what they'd like to see. Some people are asking for some different things, and we certainly will do that. I did get a couple of requests over the last week for my chocolate cake recipe, which maybe we'll do something with that coming up. That's a great easy recipe.
Dominic Zara asks, as you compete professionally, what are some of the things you think of to get yourself mentally prepared?
I will tell you, Dominic, it's a good question, right? And I don't think this has ever changed for me since the time I started cooking, even before I started professional cooking. I like cooking for people. When I'm thinking about a dish, I'm cooking for judges, right? If I'm in a restaurant, I'm cooking for the guests in the restaurant. I want them to be satisfied with what I'm doing. I want to be truthful. If I'm saying I'm sauteing something, I want it to be true. We talk about the menu that we create as a promise to the guests. I want them to appreciate the flavors of what we're doing. And really, for me, it's about execution. And always, it's me taking a dish and saying, I want to push myself as far as I can to make this dish as interesting as I can, because at the end of the day, food needs to be interesting at a high level. But I don't have a problem. It's easy for me to get ready. If I'm cooking for the judges, I'm cooking for my family, I'm cooking for some guests, I have people coming over. To me, the most important thing is I'm thinking about who I'm serving. I want them to be happy with the food that I'm giving them. I want them to feel the love and passion that goes into it.
A question that I personally invested in, Genevieve asks, what kind of opportunities can students find through a program?
That's a great question, Genevieve. Well, here again, we have many people on this chat here that have benefited greatly from our competition program, right? So this is a key, including Jake, who's working on camera, is a member of our culinary team. I think for the kids that have been at CANY, the classroom experience and lab experience has been great. The restaurant experience is great. But the students that put themselves out there, either through the competition program or getting involved in working outside of the classroom, look, you get out what you put in. And I think the kids that go through our competition program, and there have been thousands of students that have gone through our culinary competition program in the last decade, they accelerate their skill set. They accelerate their careers, no question about it. They become very confident and very skilled in the kitchen. And employers, when they go out to work, see that, and immediately they embrace that. And our students that go through our competition program actually move through industry very quickly. They get into a situation, they impress people, and right away they want to go to the next level. So I tell the kids that go through a competition program, it's a year to 18 months, and you need to be a sous chef because that's the level of skill that you have, right? Leaving our program. So I think if you talk about it from that perspective, all right, 18 months out of our culinary program, and you're looking at becoming a sous chef or second chef in charge, I think that's a significant accomplishment. And then, of course, 3 years and you're a chef, right? That's important. Right? So that's kind of the game plan. But you have to have the skills. It's got to be undeniable, right? You got to go into a situation. So I know how to do this, right? Knife, cooking, saute. What do you need me to do? Okay. Good question. Yes, Genevieve, I'm drinking coffee. Any other questions for me?
None that I can see.
All right. Well, I really appreciate you guys coming back in. I'm sorry about the delay with the connection problem. But thank you very much. We're going to do this again. We're going to figure out what happened on the back end, and then maybe the next one we'll do maybe a three-course menu, and we'll showcase the dessert as well in the context of that menu. We'll talk about how to construct a menu. Until the next time, thanks all very much. Appreciate it.